Science. I am coming to you in this video because I had to cancel class on Friday, October 14th. So you are getting this video. Please watch this whole video, answer all of the questions that are in this video. At the end will be a password for you to put into your exit ticket that is in your content for today. If you have any questions, you can email me as I'm still available through email. Throughout this recording, there are questions that you must answer. You cannot skip ahead or not do the question. So please make sure that you are participating fully so I can give you credit for watching this video. Today we're going to be talking about ATP. However, I have a review question first. This will be your first opportunity to answer a question and put in your answer using your an A, B, or C answer. How do enzymes speed up a chemical reaction? Is it A, enzymes lower the activation energy of a chemical reaction? B, enzymes add heat to a chemical reaction? C, enzymes are not changed as a result of a chemical reaction? Or D, enzymes remove heat from a chemical reaction? The opportunity to say I'm still not sure is not available in this recording, so you need to pick A, B, C, or D. Here's an explanation of why the answer is A. The answer is A, enzymes lower the activation energy of a chemical reaction. As I look through these answers, only two of them are true. Enzymes lower activation energy of a chemical reaction, or enzymes are not changed as a result of a chemical reaction. B and D are not true of enzymes. Now, if I look at those two and I look at the question asks how enzymes speed up a chemical reaction. Let's look at C. Enzymes are not changed as a result of a chemical reaction. While that is true, it does not answer the question of how enzymes speed up a chemical reaction. So therefore, we have to go back to A. Enzymes lower the activation energy of a chemical reaction, as seen in this picture right here. There is the reactant, here's the reaction without an enzyme, and you can see how much time it took. And then with an enzyme, we have the reaction with the enzyme that lowered the activation energy with the enzyme. So here are our objectives for today. I can understand that the energy stored in ATP bonds is the most common source of energy for life processes. I can recognize how ATP stores and releases energy. I can understand how the structure of ATP contributes to its function in storing and providing energy. And I can recognize some of the cellular processes that require ATP. Question number 6 is what we are going to be answering. How does ATP provide energy for your body? I want you to put in a hypothesis. How does ATP provide energy to your body? Please put in your hypothesis now. I am going to have a video for you. You guys need to watch the full video, and then we will continue with the lesson. So now that you have watched that video, I want you to give me what you learned from that video. In the space available, what did you learn from that video? So starting here with ATP, we're going to talk about what it is made up of. ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the mouthful, adenosine triphosphate. It has an adenine molecule, that is right here, adenine. It has a ribose molecule, which is another term for sugar, ribose sugar. And then there are 3 phosphate groups. So if you can see here, I have 1 phosphate group here, 1 phosphate group here, and 1 phosphate group here, getting the term adenosine triphosphate. Adenine and ribose, those 2 connected together is making up that adenosine, and then these 3 phosphate groups are making up the triphosphate. To release energy, the bonds have to be broken. Where are those bonds being broken? Type your answer in now. If you said between the phosphate groups, you are correct. Now let's see what we remember. How does ATP provide energy from our body? Let's fill in the blanks here. The sun's energy is absorbed by, give me an answer, what is broken down to make ATP? And where does the energy come from? These hints are actually backwards. The sun's energy is absorbed by, transferred into, and animals are going to eat the plants whose energy is transferred into ATP. So the sun's energy is absorbed by and transferred into. If you said plants for the first one, the sun's energy is absorbed by plants and transferred into glucose. Animals eat the plants whose energy is transferred into ATP. Glucose and ATP, they both play important roles in this process. We've already talked about glucose as being one of those stored molecules. It's that primary molecule that cells use for energy. That primary molecule that enters in to be able to be broken down. So there's energy in those bonds, but not in the form cells can use. So they need to break down the glucose to be able to produce the ATP, which cells can use as a source of energy. So we talked about this in Unit 1. Glucose is that stored energy, and it has to be broken down and to be able to be used as ATP, which is that usable energy. So where do we get the energy? Like the video mentioned, energy is stored in these chemical bonds within the phosphate groups, okay? In that phosphate group, one of these phosphate groups, the bond is going to be broken, and ATP energy is going to be released. The process is called hydrolysis. So hydrolysis is removing of that phosphate group so that we can get our energy. When we release that phosphate group, this turns into adenosine diphosphate, or ADP. So the question here is, where is the energy stored in this molecule? Write your answer on the board. The energy is stored in these bonds between the phosphate groups. You put something similar, awesome. How does the structure of ATP help provide energy to cells? I want you to think about that question first before I go to the next slide. How does the structure of ATP help provide energy to the cell? So here are your options. A, ATP production requires energy. B, ATP contains energy in the chemical bonds between its phosphate groups. C, ATP contains energy in the chemical bonds between adenine and ribose. Or D, ATP is recycled inside the cell. Choose one of those four answers. Now let's go ahead and look at these answers. The correct answer is B. ATP contains energy in chemical bonds between the phosphate groups. I crossed out C or lightened it because that is not true. The energy is not in the chemical bonds between adenine and ribose. Okay? The other two, A and D, are true. ATP production requires energy, so we have to have an ATP molecule to produce more ATP. And D, ATP is recycled inside the cell, also true. However, those two do not answer the question of how does the structure of ATP help provide energy to the cell. So the only answer that is available is B. ATP contains energy in the chemical bonds between its phosphate groups. So here's the study guide question. How does ATP provide energy to